Got it.
All right.
Oh, here it comes. Setting up our YouTube live with Ian. Here it comes. It's loading. It's loading.
Got to get the energy in.
Hey, everybody. Sick. Come on.
Always takes a
There it
second.
is.
Hello.
Hey. Hi. It's me, Jennifer from Little Metal Foxes. And I've got
Me.
Helen from Little Metal Foxes. And we've also got Julia from Little Metal Foxes. And we also have Lindstrom representative Ian Weber with us today, too. So we're really excited. We've had Ian with us before. Hi, Ian. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
How are you?
I didn't get the memo on the ears though, or else
We'll have to send you some.
yeah,
Next time.
I'll be more prepared. So
Yeah, we yes, we use them for all kinds of occasions. This is
You've got little kids, so I'm sure there's been much, discussion of costumes and trick or treating and all of that.
Oh my gosh.
we've got our share of costumes, backups, and all. So
Excellent. So smart to have backups.
yeah. Well, it's 30 degrees in Chicago right now, so
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so you got
It's snowing. No.
backup versions of the costumes.
This is the new puppy, Ian. This is the new Simon.
got his own ears.
He does.
He does.
He brings his own to the party. Yes. So
He's
soft.
real good. He's
Too cute.
just 5 months old now. He's getting bigger. He's becoming a good
Absolutely.
studio dog. So
Yep.
yeah. So okay. Well, so we're very excited again about the new Edge line that you guys are working on.
Talked about last time.
I really like these a lot. Having used them a little more since our last conversation, I really like a lot of things about these. I like that they're a little slimmer
Mhm.
on the tip, but they're still strong enough not to bend. And I think some of the cutters, because they sort of taper to the point a little too much, they have a tendency to sort of flare out after time or distort. And I haven't seen that with these. So I really like that. So
Yes, we just launched those in September, so you guys got some early rounds. We just did release 2 new SKUs, which I'll be sure to pass along to you guys just to have a look at. So one is an oblique, and then one of them is so you can get a little bit more of an angle for those tighter areas, and the other one would be it's the 6152, but it's in a stainless steel version. Typically, we don't see those in jewelry as much, but we do service electronics and medical manufacturing, so clean room applications and so on and so forth.
Meaning it cuts stainless steel.
No, meaning it's made out of stainless steel.
It's made out of stainless,
Oh,
so it's much harder. So what's the advantage there? What can it cut?
Well, it's just corrosion and things like that. So
Okay.
it's going to be a very similar range as the other tool. It's just what we call clean room ready. So because they have to dress the tools down prior to each, going into the clean room with solutions to get all the grease and everything off. So
Right.
yeah.
Right. Are these tools that ever have to be autoclaved or something? Is that actually an issue too?
in regards to which ones? The other ones?
The stainless steel ones.
No.
No.
I mean, it's just, again, it's just like if you think of stainless versus a raw steel, right? I mean,
Right. It doesn't rust. So you just, if you have
Correct.
to clean it with, stuff that has some water in it, you're not ending up with the possibility of having a big divot in your cutting edge where you have a little spot of something rusted. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There could be a place for them in jewelry. So I'll send them to you guys and you tell me what you think.
Okay.
And
All right.
get some feedback on them. So
I know that I think one of you guys pointed this out before, and the other thing, because of the way that I hang my pliers, that I do appreciate is that the spring isn't in the way. Oops, that way.
Oh, yeah.
So I can hang these on my my plier rack,
Yep.
and they don't catch, which I really appreciate. So it's like the spring is up at this point for you guys that can't see that. It's up here on the back, so it doesn't catch on the rack.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that because I've got another couple of pairs and it's like the springs always, I'm like trying to get them out of there. And anyway, but yeah, that's my other comment about these. So
we definitely took the time to do the research. I mean, we do listen to end users. I think that's key for development. Anytime we make a change to a product line or implementing a new product line, we always do our due diligence to go to end users, whether it's through trade shows or just key customers and things like that who use our tooling for upgrades. So it's just it's a great mid-tier offering line, you know, $24 to $29 at list, and we can keep costs down by, those are a stamped tool versus hot forged. So all other Lindstrom cutters and holding pliers are hot forged.
Right.
And it's a process that we've been doing for 165 years, and we don't plan on changing it anytime soon.
Yeah.
So you kind of mentioned it earlier that they are a little bit thinner, and that's because of the stamping versus the hot forging. So
Yeah.
And hot forging obviously takes more time, but what's the advantage to hot forging? Let's just unpack that for a second versus
so
stamping.
if you think of a bar of steel, so they come, you know, we buy, you know, steel stock, right? And it's a continuous bar stock. It's a ball bearing grade steel blend that's proprietary to Lindstrom. So when we heat it and when we hot forge it, there's actually grains within the steel. So when you're forging it, it actually keeps the grains intact, giving you, you know, a stronger tool that will last longer. When you think about laser cutting, you know, literally they're kind of going through and cutting the grains of the steel. So
Gotcha.
what hot forging will do is it'll keep those grains intact, giving you a better tool. I say better, but you know, I'm biased because I'm Lindstrom, but in our research that we've done, and obviously we've done it for a long time, it has given a significant, you know, life expectancy to the tool. So
Yeah, it hardens the
Let's talk
steel
about
as
this
well.
for
Right?
analogy, right? Like we all know the difference between regular concrete and concrete rebar, right? So the rebar has a structure that's internal to the concrete, which makes it possible to build skyscrapers, right? So it sounds from the way you're describing it that by forging a piece of steel, you're retaining essentially the rebar in the steel. Yeah. You're not cutting the rebar because when you stamp it, basically you're saying like you're cutting it out. And so then the grain, you're cutting around the grain.
Correct. The grains are not intact throughout the whole process.
Right.
So
I mean, and you think a piece of wood has grain too, right? So it's like if you stamp something out of a piece of wood and it's going across the grain, then the tip is going to break off. It's the same idea. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a video by the blacksmith that I follow, Torbjorn Omsen. He's got a really great little mini illustration where he's forging something for somebody, hammer thing for like putting posts in the ground, and why he's forging it versus cutting it is that exact process that you're talking about. So he's got a really great video on that whole thing.
Yeah,
I can send that link to you too if you want.
Yeah, we can put that in the.
We can put it in the description. Let's make sure that we put that link to that video in the description.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it just keeps everything like compressed as well, so it like hardens it too. Yeah. Well,
well, I never knew that, so now I do, which makes so much sense, and I really appreciate having someone who actually knows tell me.
Well, if you want to see it firsthand, if you're ever in Spain, as I've offered you guys are more than
yes.
I know we do want to come.
Yeah, we are ready and able to do that.
Send the dates. We'll have you anytime.
Okay. So my other question is talking about the design on this. The people that are designing these, how many designers do you have that work for Lindstrom that actually design these tools? What is there, like if somebody was wanting to, like, my dream is to design tools for Lindstrom, what would that look like? Who would you be like looking for? Who would be looking for a job like designing tools for Lindstrom?
Oh my God.
So are you asking who, like if we're looking for people?
No,
I'm hypothetically.
Hypothetically.
Yeah, so like any product ideas or requests or anything like that, all can just go right through Lindstrom, Lindstrom.com, or LindstromTools.com. We get requests through there for product ideas. We get requests through there. You know, that's how you guys got in touch with me.
Yeah,
Was through Lindstrom Tools. So basically, if you have any quality issues or warranties, you know, as I took care of, you know, how we met Julia, which was she was having some issues with one of her cutters or holding pliers, and you know, we stand behind our product. In regards to design, we have two main people that I work with our team in Spain. Jan, who is our brand manager in Spain, Him and I work closely together. We talk every Thursday morning. And then Orier is a young gentleman who's newer to Lindstrom. Has been phenomenal in the development of new products, also custom tooling as well. So we do custom tooling for a lot of customers. They'll come to us and they want a tool to bend and form and cut, different materials. Typically, it'll be in electronics industry or sector. So, but yeah, there any questions or improvements or anything that you're looking to do, please reach out. We love feedback. So
yeah, are the people that are doing the question I'm wondering about though is are the people that are designing the tools, are they engineers or are they're engineers, like mechanical engineers basically?
Correct.
Yeah,
correct.
Cool.
So very technical. So that's why I kind of when I alluded to in the beginning of our conversation is that's why we love to network with people like the Little Metal Foxes, because you guys use the tooling on a daily basis. My background is not in metal smithing or jewelry making, so the more that I can kind of soak up everything that you guys are putting out there, the better off we all are, right? Because we're always looking, what's the market missing or what could we improve on. We're not perfect, but we do listen and we try. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, and
you guys have just been super. That's how we found you. Was you were super responsive about my problem.
Yeah. Well, and understanding that there's an entire industry that that loves and respects the tools, and if they have questions and concerns, or they are like, I just need something that does this thing, and I know a bunch of other people that do too. Is there something that does that you already make, or can you make one to do this? Because in the industry, we don't have this thing.
Sure.
So that's, I think, one of the other advantages to getting in touch with you, that they can voice that and say, hey.
Yeah, part of the beauty of our operation and how we do things with the hot forging, we create all these, they're essentially they're dies, right? And they create blanks. But from those blanks, we're very nimble on how we can make custom tooling for customers, because a lot of times it's just like, hey, I like this plier, but I wish it was a little bit longer, or I wish it had a little bend here. And so we can modify current what we call stock offerings to have the benefits of the customer's needs. Sometimes it's just something as simple as, I don't want the tip of the cutter, I want you to round the nose off, or call it a bull nose, because I don't want the tips to break.
Yeah, right.
So sometimes we'll just take simple requests of, hey, can you just round the nose off, and we can do that for customers. And typically it's not just one piece, 5 pieces or so, but
right. But then you get
modifications are easy.
They want, and then they don't end up with a situation where like one side is broken and the other side is still there, so now it's in the way, but it's not cutting against anything. It's like losing a tooth, right? Like the other tooth doesn't have anything to chew against.
Yeah.
Well, and the beauty of that too is, a lot of times those tools that we call custom or whatever, you want to call it, they turn into a production tool, because if someone's requesting it, more than likely someone else has got the same application. And so we just 9 times out of 10, they become one of our product offerings. So
I say this to my students all the time. It's like, if you have a question, 10 other kids in the class want to know the answer too, right? So you should speak up, because there's a bunch of other people who weren't brave enough to say anything who are going to be really grateful.
Exactly. So all right. So in the design process, these are new.
They are newer. Yeah.
Newer. Okay.
New to us, that's for sure.
To us. These are amazing.
I know.
So tell us a little bit about these.
So it's our, what we call a TRX 8180. It's the biggest cutter that we make. It's a progressive bevel. So you can really get into some thick materials. On the handle, you'll notice on all of them, I think, Julia, you referenced it earlier about how we.
My favorite aspects of the Lindstrom Tools.
Turn it over. Yeah, turn it over. There you go.
I'll figure it out. This is one of my favorite aspects of Lindstrom Tools. I'm covering myself. Is the information that you have about what it will cut, right?
Simple but brilliant.
Yeah.
I see it's going from copper to iron. Oh my God.
Copper to iron.
A lot of times you'll just see copper, and that's very common. All testing is done on copper wire, and it's not that cutters can't exceed the copper wire, but that's just the standard that we set it at. And that's
Yeah.
why it's always important to do your research prior to buying a cutter, because not one cutter can do everything.
But
So
this one can cut, I have to turn it around to read it,
yeah,
So
it gets pretty big.
from 0.5 millimeters copper, which is like 24 gauge.
Yeah.
And then all the way up to 2.75 millimeters iron. Yeah. So for those people, it's like mostly the cutters, most of my cutters, it's very clear on them. It's like non-ferrous metals only.
Right. Yeah.
So it's really nice to have a pair of cutters, a nice big beefy pair of cutters that can cut iron.
Yeah.
Because I have this it's
Coat hanger.
coat hanger wire, right? That I use in the chime ball class, right? Because I have to cut these little tiny pieces like this to be the clapper beads in the chime balls, right? And I used to use these, which are my ancient lineman's pliers, which would work, but oh my God, they were so hard on my hands. And now I can do this. And I should be wearing safety glasses, people, but I have my glasses on and I'm going to put my finger over it. Boom.
Nice.
So smooth.
Look at that.
Lovely.
So sweet. And my hand is not in pain.
Yeah.
Well, you've got a little more leverage because the handle's longer.
Yeah.
Which I like. And show them the spring, Julia.
Yeah, no. So the handles are really nice on these. They're longer. You can see they're longer than my old lineman's pliers, and they're nice and cushy. But yeah, this was the thing I was laughing about, because I was laughing at Ian earlier because I'm like, it took me a while to figure out how the spring works. Speaking of springs. So the spring is here. Yeah. And if you push it through like that, so that then it pushes against the side, then it makes it, then you have a spring that returns, right? But you can take it off. Like when I saw this in the package, I'm like, what is
oh
up?
my God.
I know.
I know.
Oh my God.
I know. It's great. That's one of my favorite things about this.
In the package, and I'm like, wait, what's going on? And I took it out and I'm like, okay, no, I mean, it's clearly a spring. It's clearly there for a purpose. And I'm like, but it's not springy. So I had to look up on the website because it doesn't say anything on the package, Ian. It should say something on the package.
I like to keep you, we like to keep you on your toes.
That is flipping brilliant.
It is. Yes.
Lindstrom is just like, you know, the program. So I had to look up online so that
my brain is just going, what?
We'll have to pass along the feedback. Maybe we'll do a post on Instagram or something.
Yeah.
Explaining the
Show your
engagement of
team
the
this
spring.
video.
Exactly. So, but I love this feature because some people are really anti-spring. We have some of those in the jewelry community. Some people are really, really anti-spring because they want to be able to feel as they're cutting through the metal. So they will always do the pliers this way,
like that.
with your fingers in the handle, because they want to be able to feel as they're cutting through the pressure.
Or pliering when they're like working with pliers, especially.
Okay.
Exactly. So they're very anti-spring, but even with cutters. And so it's nice to be able to take it off if you don't want it. And the other thing is it's really nice to be able to put a pair of cutters in your toolbox and not have them be this way all the time, so that they're poking into everything else when it's in your toolbox. So when it's in your toolbox, you can take the pressure off the cutter and take the pressure off the spring. My guess is it'll make the spring last longer if the spring isn't constantly under tension. So those things.
Well, and the other thing is, while the spring's engaged, again, they can hang on a tool rack and not catch the spring.
Yeah, no, very nice design in that respect as well. It's not catching on the tool rack.
Tell the designers thank you. We appreciate that part.
I'm starting to think that unless it fits on Jennifer's rack, she's not using it.
Yeah, no, it's like it's out.
It ends up in a drawer. It ends up in a drawer and it doesn't get used. That's exactly right.
I get it. Yeah, I mean it's a simple design. You know, there's a need for a larger cutter, as you can see with how big the bevel is on it. I mean, these are not for precision work. Julia kind of hit it on the head. It's for the thicker materials. You're cutting it to length. You know, maybe something you might have to use a saw with, you know, to this, you know, it's not going to cut everything, but they do a pretty good job with
No,
uh,
and
with
actually
the
the-
bigger
the
materials.
the cut is
Yeah, and
pretty.
it's a progressive bezel, which I think a bevel, which I
Mm.
think is interesting. So the
Smooth,
the bevel
too.
on it goes from like really teeny tiny on one end to much
Mhm.
wider to allow for the cutting of the heavier
Yeah.
material.
Yep.
And like I think I've told you guys before, but like anything, the goal is to cut as close as you can to the center of the cutter as possible.
Mhm.
It's the meat of the cutter. That's where you have the most strength. I understand in some cases you do have to do some tip cutting, but we do make tip cutters. So
Right.
that's all they're designed for, is just using the tip to cut. So when we get breakage claims on tips, I typically just go through the process. What were you cutting? We'll stand behind the product, and it's not to point fingers and say, hey, you did something wrong. It's more so just to say,
To understand.
we have another option for you. I just don't want you to keep breaking your cutters because,
Yeah.
that's not what they were intended to be used for. So
Well, it's nice when you can say, it's like, okay, if that's what you're using these for, let me show you a
Right.
different tool that's better for that.
Right.
And just about any, especially with any jeweler, they're going to be open to a better tool that's designed to do that function. So
Right.
it's not so much that they are like, these aren't doing everything I want them to do, make them do that. But if you're like, there's another plier that actually is designed for that specific thing.
Yeah.
And you were saying you were coming up with you have your like interactive
Chart thing.
charts
Yes.
that you're working on.
Yeah. So stay tuned to that. Well, the web team, our marketing team, is working on some updates to the website where it's going to be like a product selector, so they can go in and say, I'm cutting this. Here's the cut result that I want. Kind of one of those if this then that type things, and then it'll say, based on your feedback, this is the cutter that we recommend. So it'll make it a lot easier for customers when searching.
Yeah.
Because I do get questions a lot. Is like, I just don't. Why did you buy those cutters? Well, I don't know.
I don't
They
know.
just
They look
good,
they look like
or
they cut things.
sometimes it's, well, because my friend's using them or has the same ones and I just really like them, but maybe
Right.
your application's a little bit different. So, we have 400 SKUs.
Oh, wow.
Of course, not every place that carries Lindstrom carries all of those too. So it could
Right,
just be, if you're going to Cookson's or you're going to Contenti or Rio Grande or one of the, Auto Fry, it depends on who you're buying from, right? And whether or not they have. And then it's really easy when you're looking at photos online to get very confused about like size and stuff. Like I've bought things before and been like, hey, I was expecting it to be this big and it is this big. I had a series of screens I bought for a tumbler at one time that I thought they were like 6-inch and they were like, I'm like, okay, no. But that was on me, because I just didn't take in what the sizes were. So certainly with cutters and stuff, it's the same kind of thing because you have little ones and you have big ones.
Yeah.
That was a great point that you brought, is that a lot of the Lindstrom dealers, they do carry a good variety of our cutters, some more than others, as well as holding pliers. But the Lindstrom website is 100% up to date.
Right.
We update it, daily. So what I would say, if you're not seeing something on someone's site, try just going to lindstromtools.com. If you find the tool you want there and you can't find somebody who's selling it, then you'll put a request in and we'd be happy to connect you with one of our dealers, because they have access to all the tooling. It's just whether or not they're stocking the tool or advertising it on the website.
Do a special order kind of thing. My local
and in which
stores-
there's no extra cost to it at all. It's still a standard SKU in our system. They just aren't advertising it. That's all.
Right.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah.
So we have a question.
Uh-huh.
Uh-oh.
Which products are the tip cutters?
So if you go to the Lindstrom website, you'd be looking
Well,
at
show us. Can you share and show us?
Yes, I can.
Now that I'm putting it
Now that you're gonna put me on the spot.
while you're doing that, I will just make a little plug for just the ergonomics of cutting deeper into the, like cutting at least the halfway part or even a little deeper in. I know the sweet spot for most of your cutters is kind of like right in the middle, but the closer you get to the joint, the less force it takes to cut. Right? I mean, like that's just the physics of the object. So if you're having trouble I mean, because people have issues with hand strength. And so if you're having trouble cutting something, try cutting deeper in the throat of it, further down, closer to the joint, because you'll have to apply less pressure. And so it might be easier. Plus, it might be easier on the tool. It might be easier on you and the tool.
Right.
Right.
Yep. The most fragile part of the tool is the tip.
Right.
We induction harden every single one of the tools, and it's between 63, 65 Rockwell hardness. But behind that, the hardened edge is a raw material. So if you think of an oval cutter, they're going to have more raw material behind the head. If you go to a tapered or a tapered and relieved, now you have even less material behind the cutting edge, which is very hard, but outside of range, it's very brittle. So that's typically when you see a failure on a tool in the tip, it's because they're cutting material that was too hard for that particular tool. So you'll have to go up a few size ranges or go into a tool that's made for tip cutting. So
yeah, and this is an important point to make, that it's designed that way on purpose, because like Japanese swords, for example, are hardened in certain areas. They're not hard through the length, because it makes them more flexible and more durable and stronger to be able to do the things they need to do. But that edge is the thing that's hard, because it's the thing that needs to be able to cut without breaking, without shearing and chipping,
And hold that sharp
and be
edge.
able to hold the sharp edge. So it needs to have the flexibility, but it also has to have that strong edge. So it's not like it's not a design flaw. It's intended to cut that way. It's intended and designed to be that way on purpose. So
I'm learning something today too. Now when I'm out trick or treating with the kids tonight, I'm going to say, that Japanese sword you're carrying around there.
It's got special areas.
it does. Yes. Yes.
All right, let's see if I can get my share screen to work here.
Okay.
How'd I do?
Got it.
Yep.
Nice job.
Oh, well, I passed. So this is just kind of like the land. Like if you go to lindstromtools.com, this is like the landing page where like most websites do it. But I'll typically start in the products, so now you can go buy kits and sets, specialty cutters. But where our tip cutters would be under going back.
Right.
Precision cutters, and then from there it kind of breaks it down even more. So we've got tip cutters, here's some oblique end cutters, angle cutters. So like for example, if I go under tip cutters, this is fast as my internet will go for you guys. So a few different versions, RX, our regular, and then our HS. So like for example, if I go on here, and there you go.
Awesome.
Specifically done. Now we do have some other ones that if I went back where there's a little bit more curvature, especially when you're getting into tight areas. One thing you always want to do is, yes, they're designed for tip cutting, but they still need to be used within range. So
Right.
You can't cut 9 gauge. People.
Yeah. Well, this is, I mean, a lot of times jewelers are cutting like chain to length. And they need to be able to sort of, like, they're measuring it on a table with a like a ruler or a marker that's on the table, and they need to be able to like stretch the chain out on a flat surface and cut with the tip of the pliers like onto the surface of the table. And so something like this becomes really good, because you can kind of slide it down the length of the chain and cut with the tips, and you know that it's going to work well. Hush.
We can go back and I can show you, like, here's, like I was saying, some of the oblique end cutters.
Yeah.
So anything from, we do sell these in the jewelry field quite a bit.
Right. Yeah.
So if you've seen these before, you would kind of hold it horizontally, and then you would go over the piece and you can cut it that way.
Nice. I don't think I've seen a pair like that, quite like that before. That's interesting. Yeah.
Yep. We make them in, a micro bevel and a flush. It's another thing that's kind of, it's not universal to industry. So in Lindstrom's world, like, flush is pretty well flush. It's pretty well universal, whether you're looking at a competitor of ours, which I won't name because I wear Lindstrom shirts only. No, I'm joking. But there's a lot of other good brands out there, but anyhow, Flush is Flush.
Here's your
But in our
Halloween
world,
costume, a Lindstrom person. Lindstrom employee, Ian.
so
No, that's
micro
great.
bevel is where we start. That's the biggest bevel we offer. Flush, and then ultra flush is literally no bevel at all. So
Right. Okay.
no, just one thing I always say, unless you need it to be ultra flush, the more bevel you can have on a tool, the better
longer
off
the
that you're gonna
life,
be.
sure.
It's gonna have a longer life. It's gonna have a bigger range.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I can
Yeah.
stop sharing that if you guys
That's,
want.
that's
I do
fantastic.
have the cut selector that if you want me to pull that up really quick just to kind of show if there's anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, pull it up.
Let me-
We have quite the fashion photo shoot
I was
going
going
across
to
the
say
whole
we can
campus
hear
right now.
like the background in your studio, so that's the fashion photo shoot. Jennifer has a wonderful building that her studio is in that's full of lots of really active artists, and it's great, but the walls are really thin.
Oh, there are no walls at the top.
There are no walls up above.
So can you guys see this?
Yeah.
So this is a guide that we put in every one of our catalogs that I have available in a PDF. So if there's anybody who's watching or follows you guys that does watch this, I'm more than happy to email it to you.
This is, I think we posted it on our website under resources, didn't we?
Perfect.
Yeah.
I think we did. If we didn't, we will, but I think we already did actually
Okay.
after the last time you were on, because it was like, where can we put the PDF? And so we put it there.
Perfect. So just a real brief, I'll go over it. I kind of talked to this where it talks about the difference between a micro bevel, a flush, ultra flush, the different head types. Oval's pretty standard. Our number one most popular seller that we have is an 8140, which is a 40 series oval head micro bevel. Those we sell by far the most. We have 4 different head sizes, not including the TRX, which is not on here. But the largest would be like our 8160 series. A little bit about holding pliers. We do have a pretty broad range of holding pliers from flat nose. We just released a new round nose that's a little bit longer and in the pipe works. We're going to be releasing some more, not only in our 80 series line, which is our tried and true yellow white handles that most people know us for, but also we have about 10 or so SKUs in the edge line that we'll be releasing as well, including some crimpers and some other things.
Cool.
But this is kind of our cut guide. These next 2 pages I find to be something I even use on a weekly basis, daily basis sometimes. It basically breaks down the cutters on the left-hand side, what the part number is, what the head size is, what the head shape is, and then what the different cut result is. And then on this page, it does it by SKU, and then this is your gauge up at top. So millimeters, inches, and then your gauge. And then it basically breaks it down by what the metal type is. So soft wire, that would be like your coppers. So now you can use this and say, okay, well, I'm cutting, 24 gauge copper wire, or if you're in like a medium, which would be like your steel, hard wire, like stainless, piano wire we see that more in medical, like nightingales and things like that. So there's kind of your range. So you can kind of go through and select a cutter based on the category, or the materials, I should say, that you're actually engaged, that you're going to be cutting.
Right.
So again, it's pretty simplistic, but this keeps you out of trouble. I mean, this is really what
something the cutter wasn't designed to cut. You do that and you're going to damage your cutter. It's just really straightforward.
When you're spending $60-$70, sometimes more on a cutter.
Yeah.
Like this cutter here is $200 a piece, but they have a carbide insert in them, so the cost of production is a lot more.
Yeah. But those are used probably more for like the medical industry, right?
Correct. Yep, you are correct.
This piano wire is really flipping hard, peeps. So
there's
only one cutter on there that Lindstrom sells that can cut piano wire, and you said it was over $200. No surprise.
Yeah. So for surgeons out there that are doing heart work, that's the plier for you.
Correct. So let me know if you guys don't have it as a resource. I'm more than happy, obviously, to share that.
Okay, we got it. I just
added it.
no, I can't.
No, it was already there.
Oh,
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's already there.
Hopefully people utilize it. I just think it's a great resource. Again, things happen, but that should keep you out of trouble for the most part. And when in doubt, ask, send a message off.
It'll keep us out of trouble with our cutters, maybe, but not much else.
Well, it's nice to know that there is a resource that people can go to find those things. And I think a lot of times, especially people who are starting out new in jewelry or in areas where they haven't been, cutting wire before, they don't know what they don't know. They just don't know that there aren't, that there are different kinds of bevel edges that cut in a different way, that they're designed to cut different thicknesses and different gauges and different metals or different hardnesses. So for a lot of people, they don't know about that stuff. And having a chart like that shows them all those things in one place, help educate and inform them to make better decisions, to be a more informed customer, and a better craftsperson in the long run, because they're using the right tool for the right thing.
Right. And I mean, I don't want it to sound like all I'm trying to do is get customers just to buy more of our tools, because in all reality, it will save you money in the long run, right? Because if I could sell you one tool that did everything, I mean, that would be amazing, but this is not reality. But if you have 5 or 6 different cutters used for, different applications, different gauges and everything, you'll have them for a lifetime because you're going to be using them within range. So you buy them once, you shouldn't have to replace them, ever, if you're using them properly. So,
well, and Julia is a great example of that. I mean, she was using those for 20 years.
Right.
So, I mean, it's not that the tool doesn't last. It's just using it in the correct application that makes a big difference. So,
So we have another question.
Okay.
What do the yellow handles signify in your line?
There's
yellow for yellow.
They're just yellow. I feel like every brand has a color. And that's just when we started back in the day in Sweden, that's the color that they used. So now it's just kind of become like Lindstrom's trademark color, which is just yellow. It's almost like, you're driving down the road and you see a blue round emblem on the front of a pickup truck. It's just, that's a Ford, people just know it,
Yeah.
And yes, I know that some of our tools don't have yellow on them.
I was going to say, but this is like the Lindstrom blue that's in your logo.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, this Lindstrom, I mean, all my pliers, it has to do with the handle type too, doesn't it? In terms of the color.
Correct. So our RX line is currently, that's the one with the bio spring that people either love or hate.
Right.
So those are black and blue currently.
Right. That's the one I have.
We may be working on a project to
maybe.
Maybe.
Do some
Stay tuned.
Okay.
You're allowed to change the color. It's fine. People change their logos and their looks. Like, the rice milk that my husband uses rebranded, and now it has a completely different look to the box. And it's like, okay, whatever. It was fine the way it was.
I don't know we'll ever change the yellow handle. I think that will always just be, like I said, that's our trademark, like OG kind of tool. So that one will be staying. But we're excited for the future of Lindstrom. We have a lot of great projects going on. We've been getting a lot of great feedback from people such as yourself.
Well, we love these, that's for sure. And as I said before, I so love that because my memory is not what it used to be. And even when it was good, I couldn't remember all the little details that are on here. So I love that Lindstrom does this. It's it's minimal effort on your part and for maximum gain for me. And so it's like, thank you for doing that.
Well, and both Julie and I have taught so much in different school locations and learning locations, higher learning, and so on. And when you've got, a good tool that sometimes teachers can get very protective of the expensive tools, and it's because the students don't know what to use them for. And if you've got the information right on the tool, it's like it says right here what you can use it for. Exactly. So that makes a big difference. And again, extends the life of the tool and teaches those students that there are specific tools for specific.
Like, hey, guess what? There are limits.
Yep.
Right.
And I mean, it's interesting you say that. I mean, part of our mission is kind of giving back and doing some things. So we started last year networking with more and more schools to work with the educators, both for feedback, but also work with the students, because again, like when we're talking about today, it's important to understand, the difference in your toolings, the limits of your toolings, what to do, what not to do. Trial and error is not cheap. So we've been working with larger schools, smaller schools, one in your neck of the woods, which North Seattle College.
Yes. Okay. Awesome.
Some bigger ones on the East Coast are RISD, Pratt, SCAD.
Yeah.
So
I started SCAD.
That's set that program
so
up.
we're just excited. Again, this is something we believe in the education side of it.
Yeah.
And so we've just been networking with more and more schools just to, we do provide some tooling solutions, but we get a lot out of it, both from, like I said earlier, I don't, by trade, I am not a jeweler or a metalsmith. So for me to spend a couple hours at, RISD and see how they're using the tools and get feedback on it, has just been an awesome experience. So we'll continue through the years to come, just networking with more and more schools. And it's just been a great journey, and we look forward to doing more of it.
Absolutely.
So yeah, you had mentioned RISD, and Lori Talcott is a friend of ours as well, who lives here in Seattle, and we love her. And she's doing very specialized work with filigree and among other things. So we always love that when we can like share that information and have a community of people that is educating each other through symposium or through classes or whatever kind of networking we're doing, guilds and so on.
Yep.
So being able to share that information around is incredibly helpful to us as makers. So it just Julia says rising tide lifts all boats, and that's really true in our world. So
yeah, if you talk to Lori, I don't know if she's ever shared them with you, but she has like her great grandfather's tools that she has from Germany, and she still uses them, and they are like original Lindstrom tools. They're absolutely beautiful. So we told her to stop using them, and we sent her a whole bunch of ones because we don't want her to break them or anything, and just to hang them up on the wall to remember her grandfather. I don't know, she still might be using them, but we are very grateful for her to share all that, because we don't get to see a lot of that. A lot of those tools have been tucked away or just gone. Yeah. So to see some of the original tools at 100 years old is just pretty cool.
Yeah, she was showing us her bench, her grandfather with his engraver. Take the sharp. Did she show you this?
I didn't see that, but
he would take the engraver, he would sharpen it, and you'd have to take the sharp burr off the end, like the metal that had peeled back, and he would jam it into the underside of the bench, to jam it into wood to like make that little like take off the little burr of metal. And then so she was showing us that there's like all these little points under the bench where he was like sharpening his tool and prepping it to use. And so yeah, she's got a beautiful studio, and we're very fortunate. She lives like 8 blocks from me. So
that's awesome.
No, she's a lovely person, and we adore her, and her work is just phenomenal. I mean, she is a true master crafts person.
Yeah.
And her work.
We were over at her house 2 weeks ago, doing when she was working on one of her filigree pieces, and we were filming that. So I've got a little video on little metal boxes of us over at her house watching her do some.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah. She was showing us how to make filigree wire, because I was like, I want to know how you do it. She's such a sweetheart. She's great. But now the next time I'm over there, I'm going to be like, I need to see those 100-year-old Lindstrom tools.
Yeah. Ian says
we should check out your tools.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Or when you're in Seattle, we'll have to go over to her studio and give her a visit.
No, I'll definitely, like I said, as soon as I come up that way, I'll have to reach out. I'm sure we'll be there, because we just started, like I said, working a little bit with North Seattle College. So that's one that I haven't visited. So
yeah, and that's really close to me. That's like 10 minutes from my house.
It's right in between Julie and I. And Julie and I both used to teach there as well. And
a little homecoming. You guys can come along and show me around, and
it'd be fun. We could do a tool tip from North Seattle and promote
that
their.
would be great.
There we go.
Yeah, Julia Henninkus is the head of the program up there now, and she is
Another
amazing. We love her. She's a longtime Metals Guild person here in Seattle, and has been teaching the college level for quite a while at down at Evergreen, and now here at North.
Yeah.
And she's just
great. She's fabulous. Great artist and good teacher. And
they're lucky to have her up there. She's really good.
They're very lucky to have her. So
Fantastic.
well, good. Well, listen, I was going to say one last thing. If you guys use binding wire, if you use iron binding wire in your work,
These are the cutters.
these are cutters. Because most of your other cutters, you're not supposed to cut metal, you're not supposed to cut iron with, but these, you can do it. So you need your binding wire. There you go.
And just to be clear, I did not pay or endorse anything
No.
for
Oh,
doing
no,
this.
Not. No.
Yeah.
Not.
Nope. No. We just really appreciate
I
you
know.
being able to share the information, so that again, it's educating, young metalsmiths, new metalsmiths,
Yeah.
new people that are in the craft or in the industry, and being able to kind of spread the word about where they can find those resources. And that's
Right.
important. So,
And if they have questions, or if they have like tool modifications or design ideas, like,
Come to us.
it's good.
The requests feed direct to me, so they come right to my inbox on the Lindstrom site. No one filters through them. They literally come direct to my inbox. So, there's no such thing as a dumb question or a dumb inquiry. Please, reach out. We're here to support you, big or small. It doesn't matter. So, and same with you guys. I'd love to come on again if you'll have me.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We love talking to you, and we always love hearing about the new tools. And like
How
I said,
deep the snow is in
if you're in
Chicago.
town, you can go talk about what you guys are doing with the North Seattle program. That would be really cool to
Yeah, absolutely.
make those connections. So
Yeah, we'll keep you updated as we make the changes to the website with the product selector, and with the expansion of the Edge line and things like that. We'll keep everybody posted. Our website and Instagram, we're pretty heavy on all those things. So
yeah,
Right.
follow the Lindstrom has a nice Instagram following. So add
Absolutely,
yourself
yeah.
to that.
Absolutely.
well, and if you're not following Lindstrom, I will tell you that we do giveaways all the time.
See, there you go.
It, not something that you want
Don't want to miss out on.
to. That's what I always. I mean, and usually it's tool kits. Like it'll be 5 or 6 cutters, and especially now because we're getting towards the holiday season, we definitely give a little bit more. So
Yeah, go on the Lindstrom site, people. Pick
Yeah.
out the perfect kit that you want in your stocking, and then you can let Santa know.
That's right.
Your family, or Lindstrom Santa.
Yeah. So that is awesome. Thank you, Ian, so much for joining us again. We look forward to
Thanks for
seeing you
having me.
again.
Yeah,
As
absolutely.
developments come out and new things come out, and
And
just to
plans
chat,
are made.
and plans are made.
Plans are made.
So-
We still want to come to Spain. We're hoping that's still going to work out. We're
Yeah.
trying to organize get our little metal foxes poop in a group to get.
I will be there the second week of January. So
You will be there the second week of January.
yeah.
No, we probably will not.
Yeah.
But
We're
hey,
looking at maybe April or something. So
that's our hope. Yeah, it's
Well,
all
I'm going for business, so
yeah,
there. I have to.
Oh.
we are too.
all work, no fun.
Yeah. All right. Well, happy Halloween to you and the
Happy
kids. Have a great evening. And
too.
we really appreciate seeing you again. And thank you so much.
Thank you
for
so
sharing
much for
some
sharing
with us.
these with us and for joining us.
Appreciate it.
We're here to
All right.
support. Just let us know how we can help.
Thank you.